Encounters with tigers today are mostly restricted to the confines of a zoo or safari. This was not the case in some parts of Asia just 100 years ago. Man-eating felines are a rare occurrence in Nepal and India these days. That couldn't be said in the early 1900s. Tigers often roamed as they pleased, slaying whoever crossed their path. Statistically, tigers were responsible for on average 1,000 annual deaths during the latter period of the 20th century, with there being a 5-year streak where their victim body count rose to a cumulative 7,000 people. When tigers can no longer eat their natural prey, they are forced to adapt and move to the closest attainable food source. Sometimes being humans, these tigers are known as man-eaters. While the history is long and ever-going on man-eating felines, the Champawat tiger certainly is the most remembered and was the most feared when it stalked the lands of Asia. Beginning around the year 1900, this female tiger, named the Champawat tiger, was and is the most notable of the man-eating tigers of this time, as many believed it was killing for vengeance as it racked up an estimated 436 victims. In the late part of the 19th century, British colonialism was sweeping through this part of Nepal and India, taking over the lands and tearing down forests primarily for lumber, farming, and railroad purposes. This tiger's livelihood and home was at risk. Dane Huckelbridge, the author of the book No Beast So Fierce, mentioned that in the early 1900s, we see a drastic increase in man-eating animals in this specific region of southern Asia. This can be attributed to the change in available food sources these specific animals had. As the forest shrank due to colonialism, the ecology did as well, thus forcing these tigers to look elsewhere for sustenance. Furthering this problem in India was the British government banning all firearms after the attempted uprising from the people in the 1850s. This banning of guns left communities, especially those deep in the forest, defenseless when these large tigers came. Unlike lions, who favor running down their prey and chasing them until they are caught, tigers love to stalk and ambush their prey when they least expect it, dragging them back into the forest for safe eating to avoid other competition. For a number of years during these rampant tiger attacks, locals in the area were forced to shut down. Traveling was limited to just during the day while maintaining large groups for safety, and going to the market was discouraged, so stocking up with supplies and staying indoors was suggested for years in certain areas. The Champawat tiger hailed originally from the Himalayas in western Nepal, in a village named Rupal. Here, she marked her early domination in the region with an estimated 200 kills from the years 1897 to 1903. She would hide in the forest and wait for villagers to come out to collect water, firewood, and food, then drag them deep into the forest to never be seen again. Despite the stealth of the massive cat, she would leave a trail of blood that set hunters headlong in pursuit. Yet, the tiger evaded capture and death for years. Despite the failed first efforts of hunters, the Nepalese army knew they had to do something. So they organized a massive patrol, forcing the tiger to abandon her territory. Being driven out of Nepal in 1903, the tiger was forced to migrate into India, where she continued to kill. Driven over River Sarda and the border into India, the move did little to slow down her thirst for human flesh. In the Kumaon district, she preyed on countless unprepared villagers. The tiger had learned from her time in Nepal and adjusted her hunting strategy to optimize success while diminishing the risk of containment. By some accounts, she traveled upwards of 20 miles or 32 kilometers per day to make a kill and then avoid capture. Her behavior became more like a Siberian tiger in her habits, and she created a larger territory to encompass multiple villages in the Kumaon area, with Champawat being close to the center of her territory, thus giving her the name of Champawat tiger. According to the records kept by the British government, another 234 people were taken and killed by this tiger in India between 1903 and 1907. As word got out about the Champawat tiger's vicious attacks, daily life drew to a standstill. Hearing the Bengal tigress's roar from the forest, men refused to leave their huts for work, and after 5 years of terror, the government put a bounty on the tiger's head. After nearly a half a year of Britain's best bounty hunters, professional hunters, and even an army platoon attempting and failing to take down this cat, the government became desperate to put an end to the killing. A local legend known for killing man-eating cats named Jim Corbett was approached by officials offering the work. Jim worked for the railroad, but in his off time he was an outdoorsman. Being a sport hunter in the Indian jungle for all his life, he had developed a great sense of the jungle and for all the animals in it. Jim spent years living and hunting with the native Indians who showed him the ropes. Feeling prepared for this mission, Jim had only 2 requests for the British government. 1, that they remove the payment for killing the cat. 2, that they mandate no other hunters from assisting or interfering in the hunt. Corbett took pride in his status as a sport hunter and was unwilling to associate himself with hunting an animal for financial gain. Furthermore, he insisted that the other hunters were pulled out of the area as he believed that they were likely to disrupt his own hunt, or worse, accidentally shoot him. The authorities readily agreed, and Corbett traveled to the Kumon province. The hunt was on. When Corbett stepped foot in the Kumon province, he made his way to the Champawat village. He was then met with the sight of people barricaded in their homes, thus indicating the real fear that the people had for the Champawat tiger. It was not long after Corbett's arrival that the tiger struck again. Her victim being a 16-year-old girl, Corbett knew the hunt was on. He went on to say that tracking the tiger was relatively easy as there was deep, thick tracks and footprints of blood leading the way from the girl he had taken. Following the tracks and locating the girl's remains, he would be looking down at her mutilated body as he noticed the tiger ambushing him from the side. Only seeing it from the side of his eye, Corbett was able to shoot off 2 shots from his rifle. Missing with both shots, the gunshot startled the cat and she ran off. Corbett retreated back to the village and collected his thoughts by saying he truly recognizes the real danger associated with hunting a man-eater and that this Bengal tiger felt no fear of humans or death. On the very next day, with the help of a Champawat official, Corbett organized a patrol of 300 villagers. Creating a large line 2 men deep, they began to sweep the forest searching for the tiger. After passing the girl's remains once again at about noon, Corbett had the cat in his sights and made the kill. Corbett's first shot hit the tigress in the chest and then the shoulder. His last shot hit the tigress in the foot. It stopped her mid-charge just 20 feet or 6 meters from Corbett's hiding spot. At that very moment, the Tiger Queen's reign of terror came to an end. A post-mortem of the tigress showed that the upper and lower canine teeth on the right side of her mouth were broken, the upper one in half and the lower one right down to the bone. The injury, a result of an old gunshot according to Corbett, probably prevented her from hunting her natural prey, and hence she started to hunt humans. Further examinations made by Corbett during his hunt for the tiger indicated that she was in healthy condition physically, other than her teeth, and that she was between 10 and 12 years old. After 236 lives were lost to this animal, life could finally return to normal in the Kumon region. Because of the renown he gained by saving the residents of Champawat and its surrounding villages from this big cat, Corbett went on to pursue and kill about a dozen more well-documented man-eaters throughout his life. He went on to author many books about his related experiences from his hunting days, most notably Man-Eaters of Kumon and Jungle Lore. He came to a startling conclusion about the man-eating big cats in the process. In the foreword to Man-Eaters of Kumon, he argued, "The wound that has caused a particular tiger to take to man-eating might be a result of a carelessly fired shot, or a failure to follow up and recover a wounded animal, or be the result of a tiger having lost his temper while killing a porcupine. There is no way to know how these animals were hurt. To say this tiger killed out of vengeance is just wrong. She was merely trying to survive." Eventually, Corbett made the switch from stalking animals with rifles to hunting them with cameras. He became an outspoken naturalist, advocating for protecting India's wildlife, particularly endangered big cats. For the rest of his life, he continued to sound the alarm about the plight of wildcats and other threatened wildlife. In 1968, one of the 5 remaining subspecies of tigers was named after him, the Indonesian Chinese, or Corbett's tiger, whose scientific name is Panthera tigris corbetti. Jim Corbett was instrumental in setting up one of India's first national parks in the Kumon Hills, very close to where he had hunted for the Champawat tiger many years before. Finally, in 1957, the park was renamed to Jim Corbett National Park in his memory after his death in 1955. He died at the age of 79. That is the story of the Champawat tiger. If it wasn't for Jim Corbett's bravery and hunting skill, many hundreds of more people could have died. If you want to hear more scary, fascinating stories, make sure to check out last week's video.